Republicans are clashing over the Senate's version of the one big beautiful bill, and to make things worse, the public doesn't actually seem to be on board with it.
In a nutshell, the arguments revolve around the Senate's increasing Medicaid cuts, easing up on the green energy tax credit rollbacks, and lowering the state and local tax or SALT deduction cap. Congressman Chip Roy told reporters yesterday, "My main takeaway for you guys is this bill, as the Senate has produced it, is definitely dead if it were to come over to the House in anything resembling its current form."
Democrat turned Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey told The Hill that he's most concerned about the Medicaid cuts. "This is political stupidity. It's political suicide," Drew said. "Why would you hurt these people?" Van Drew told The Hill. "There are a lot of working, poor, blue-collar people. There are people now, they were part of this new Republican Party, and we should make sure that they're safe not only for political reasons, but also for the right thing to do."
CNN pollster Harry Enton broke down how the big, beautiful bill may even hurt Republicans in the midterms.
We're talking about a negative 41 net favorability rating among independents in the center of the electorate. You rarely ever see pieces of legislation or proposed pieces of legislation as unpopular as this. But here you see it in two polls, 26 points underwater and 29 points underwater. No good.
White House spokesman Kush Desai told Axios in a statement, President Trump pledged to protect Medicaid, eliminate taxes on tips and overtime, slash wasteful spending, extend his historic 2017 tax cuts, and implement pro-growth policies to usher in the historic job, wage, investment, and economic growth that Americans experienced during his first term. The one big, beautiful bill will do just that. The American people don't seem to think so, and neither do I. I've been raging against the big, beautiful bill. Me and Elon campaigning against this thing from the right. I hate
company.
it. Yes, I
Your
hate
net
it.
worth combined is very high.
I think together we're the richest man in the whole world.
I always had a friend who had won like 3 Pulitzers, and I was like, between us, 3 Pulitzers. That's pretty good.
It's and two winners of Time's Person of the Year.
That's exactly
2007.
right. I did love that bit, though it's so hackneyed now
I still
on Twitter.
use it. Yeah.
Time's Man of the Year.
Got to put it in the bio.
Look. They have backed themselves, I think, Republicans, into this weird corner, which is like, you can't control the White House, the House, and the Senate. And I think people broadly know that Republicans are in control. You can't do that and do nothing.
Yes.
I don't think. Because, like, what's your message in 2026? Like, well, we were there. At the same time, your option now appears to be to pass something that the public doesn't want, but we're going to convince the public that they want it, which I will remind people, March 2010. March 2010. There is no such thing as 2010. That's a long time from now. March 2010. Congress, controlled by Democrats, passes Obamacare.
Right.
It's very unpopular. Barack Obama told me and every other reporter, you just wait and see. People know what's in it. They're going to love it. 63 House seat Republican gain, 5 Republican seat gain in the Senate later in 2010. It's just... once people's mind get made up about these big things, these big legislative things, it rarely changes. Well, I don't know what they do.
I think the problem Republicans have is they have promised for my entire life that if you put us in power, we will cut government spending, we will balance the budget, we will shrink the deficit. And now they have more power in government than they've, with the exception of the George Bush time right around then.
Since the first 2 years of Trump.
They have so much power. They can do it. And they've promised to do it, and now they put forth a bill that maintains all of the previous spending levels that they've been railing against.
And would add trillions to the deficit.
It would add trillions more. And I don't see how you can go back to your own voters, the people that elected you in Republicans, MAGA people to put you in charge, and say, we had an opportunity to do what we said we were going to do, but we're not doing it. So it's unpopular on that end, and then it's unpopular, obviously, on the liberal and moderate end for some of the cuts that are not politically popular, like the entitlements cuts, which I would be happy to make law because I want to tackle entitlements, but maybe they're not popular.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
Did they not believe it then, or do they not believe what they're doing now? That's like, because there's no way, if you're a 2012 Paul Ryan fiscal hawk.
Yes. I basically am.
There's a 0% chance you look at this bill and think, this is good fiscal policy, this is good conservative fiscal policy. Outside of the tax cut, which, but and maybe, I guess, if you're like, well, we need to dip a toe into the entitlement, we're dipping a toe into Medicaid, and we need to address that, and this is a way in. But I just don't see how, if you've been in Congress for a decade, you look at that and you say, like, yes, as a fiscally conservative Republican, as a deficit hawk, I'm for this. Like, I actually think Chip Roy is right.
He is absolutely right. I've been toasting Rand Paul for crusading against this on exactly these lines. It's just people get it. They understand that you're full of it. If you said you were going to do this, if you said this was important to you, you gotta do one thing. You gotta do entitlements or defense or massively slash, government departments or something. You can't waste, fraud, and abuse your way out of this problem. I'm glad that they're tackling waste, fraud, and abuse, but there isn't enough of it. Or everybody thinks it's unpopular foreign aid. Good, eliminate it all. I would with a swipe of my pen, I would eliminate all unpopular foreign aid and foreign programs. That will not balance the budget. That will not fix the deficit. We need to tackle entitlements or defense. And doing defense at least would be popular. It seems like there was bipartisan support for that. Some Democrats said they would go along for the ride on that. They didn't even try.
I always point out to people when they're like, Trump is slashing government. We're reducing waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm like, let me just give you some rough numbers. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the defense budget, which, by the way, Trump touts all the time now as biggest budget ever, $1 trillion. That's about 80 to 85% of the budget. So, like, yeah, you want to get rid of the Department of Education. I mean, look, since Newt Gingrich, we've been talking about getting rid of the Department of Education. Okay.
Gone, dead.
You know what the Department of Education's budget is? It's not a lot of money.
I mean, billions with a B, not a T.
Right, it's a lot of money for us, but for the government. And that's my point. It's like,
you can overdo that and then never end up cutting any, every time they try to eliminate something, well, it's not a lot, so it's, right. Yeah. So I don't want to use that as an excuse not to cut things. But the big fundamental question of how in debt our government is, how much we spend beyond our means, will not be addressed, I agree, by those kinds of things.
So do they do this? Put on your prognosticator hat.
I suspect they will do some version of it. I think they absolutely will.
They feel like they have to.
Yeah.
And you think so in the House then it's like the Chip Roy, Thomas Massey's vote against it, that's 2, they can lose 3. And that's basically it.
Yep, and it gets through with the narrowest of margins, and Trump people plan to run on the other parts of his agenda that are popular with the American people, the immigration policies, and say, see, we're fulfilling our promises on this and this and this. I think that's the plan.
I also wonder whether they do the Trump thing, which is $1,000 tax cut check to every family next summer. So I don't know if it's $1,000. I don't know what the number is, but like I'm interested to see. Like, is that because you got to sell it somehow?
No,
it can't be about
no tax on tips is a good idea though. That one is politically popular.
It's a brilliant political. Yeah. There's a reason Kamala Harris copied it.
Yeah.
Now, is it good fiscal policy?
Well, I think we're just all going to be paid via tips in the future.
Exactly.
If that,
no tax. I would like to take tips.
I would like Nexstar to convert me to a tipped employee, please.
Okay. Another Democrat has been manhandled by ICE, and we have more details on all of that next.